Yeah, the progressive overload of training. Yeah, that works. I'm telling you, there's a reason why the pro bodybuilders do the high volume sarcoplasmic training. That is what showcases the best visual muscle. What's up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Today's a smart sip, some papaya green tea from Panera. I got the Extendo 500 mg caffeine shot in this just to stroke out on camera. ASMR spritzes some intelligent iron. There's your noise. All right, today I'm going to be kind of putting bodybuilding and powerlifting, what you need to learn from both sectors. So if you go search the fitness industry, powerlifting and bodybuilding are built completely way out into their own specific niches, and you really get to see the cross of, you know, kind of how, like, in my opinion, a natural physique that's substantial, you know, all the natural bodybuilders and or natural giant jacked athletes normally drift over towards strength volume and then end up in the powerlifting category, where the bodybuilders normally start out in the powerlifting category, they get into PEDs and or they get into a point where they can hit a natural stage weight that's enough to place in a natural federation, and then they move into the sarcoplasmic training. I'll have Andrew throw up the FST7 type training, all the high volume sarcoplasmic training versus all the low volume strength training. Point being is you need to take notes from either side, because a lot of powerlifters, in my opinion, aren't as big, you know, via muscular wise, that they can convert into more strength fibers, in my opinion, than they could be if they took bodybuilding seriously. Whereas, in my opinion, a little bit more important, bodybuilders taking note into the strength base they have in correlation with the high volume work outputs they're doing. Obviously, as you specialize down each side, it becomes more technical, but I feel like when you're in the gym beginning, you need to realize that I need a strength base. I also need to do sarcoplasmic training. I don't give a shit what you like. All the science dudes, go ahead, blabber on how you don't need that. I have trained forever. I have gone from 140 pounds to 270 pounds. I can say visually, after doing high volume sarcoplasmic training, my muscles look better. They do. They look more bubbly like a bodybuilder. When I look at all the pro bodybuilders, that's how 90% of them train. You know, they do that for a reason. I think that powerlifters need to take notes of, like, that's not useless to work out like that. That's not something that I'm including in my program, and I'm not deloading and doing that, which could result in me gaining more actual tissue, which when I bring that under the knife of low volume strength training, I might actually get stronger by having that added mass put onto me from the bodybuilding training. With the bodybuilding training, it should be, oh, my strength base isn't high enough. I could be doing way better high volume with heavier weights if I focused on my strength base a little more. Sure, my muscles would densify. I would look smaller, especially working with my CNS very close to fully tapped out in low volume, but I can recover this size, the sarcoplasmic fluid in my body after I switch back into bodybuilding training. This is where, like, you know, I've Andrew throw out Michael Herm, baby don't hurt me. Like, this is where, like, he nailed the strength base and doing the bodybuilding shit. That volume is so damn heavy that he can really utilize the strength base he built when he was younger, and he always is able to give his CNS a check in quotation marks, keep it up there, and then he still gets the bodybuild with way heavier weights than a dude who's just worried about pumping it up in the gym. Where the bodybuilders per se, when you look at, I don't know, who's my favorite powerlifter? I forget his name. I guess we'll just take Larry Wheels. Larry Wheels is a great example. When you look at him, strongest man probably walking around. When you put him in bodybuilder training, he looks way better, and he knows specifically that that training is much differently. However, he's so freaking strong that all he really had to do was switch into sarcoplasmic training, and his body adapted. He got fuller and filled out to a point where he looked like a legitimate classic physique competitor. And that was all from, number one, coming in completely dialed on stage, but number two, learning from bodybuilders. There's always this, oh, I hate powerlifters, I hate bodybuilders. That has gone away. But what hasn't gone away is the advantages of each other's training and how you should be incorporating both, in my opinion. You know, I really do think both should be incorporated. I think a bodybuilder in the off season should be chasing significant strength volume. They shouldn't just be pumping drugs and still doing high volume. I really do believe that investing in that strength base and then using that strength base as you go into prep, as you switch into sarcoplasmic training, will lead towards a better physique on stage. I also agree, when you're deloading powerlifting, you should get into sarcoplasmic training. You should put on more size, actual tissue size. And then as you densify your body and go back into competition training, you have a little bit more muscle that could be densified, which could yield you being stronger on the platform. This is simple shit. I am not pulling out training statistics or anything. You need to realize that I see so many people is either making, you know, I'm like, what does your end physique look like? That's what I always ask people, is like, where do you see your end physique? My 10-year plan with my physique, when I'm done, I want to be here. It's like, all right, this person doesn't have the strength volume at all to accomplish that. He should really just go straight into powerlifting for a while and then switch into bodybuilding later after he's accomplished the strength volume that he can use to do sarcoplasmic volume that's worth doing. Other way around, guy's been lifting forever, basically a power lifter, basically a half natty. And I'm thinking, you need to do FST7 training. You want to look like a bodybuilder. You want to look like one of these influencers with bubbly muscles. You're training too heavy all the time. You think that's the only way because you follow the science bullshit of, yeah, the progressive overload of training. Yeah, that works. I'm telling you, there's a reason why the pro bodybuilders do the high volume sarcoplasmic training. That is what showcases the best visual muscle, and most guys should just take the strength volume they had, put the ego away, put the fucking ego away, go and train light, train with good contractions, really focus on how to train like a bodybuilder, and you will get the bubbly physique you want, and then you can go back into powerlifting and densify it all up. This yo-yo effect is how you should be training on, off drugs, but especially on drugs. You don't want to get into a habit where you're using drugs, pumping it up, no strength base, no nothing, and then deflating after. You need to have this, you know, education that you need to put these two whole separate niches of how to lift weights together to form the best possible physique. And you've seen it with Ronnie Coleman using extreme, ungodly, fucking high volume strength volume. And he got that strength volume by fucking powerlifting. And then he's contracting bodybuilder style, ridiculous weights. That's why he looked like that. He mastered juggling powerlifting and bodybuilding, and he relied a lot on the powerlifting where he should have switched over to machine work later in his career, but he knew that that was the best way to create that physique. That's why he won so many damn times. He figured that out before steroids, after steroids. He was training the same. I will see you guys in my next video.